Have you ever found yourself watching a crime documentary or reading a true crime story, wondering not just what happened, but why? Why did they do it? What was going through their mind? This deep human curiosity to understand the darker aspects of our world is precisely what the fascinating field of behavioral analysis seeks to answer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on criminal narratives explained through the lens of behavioral analysis. Often referred to interchangeably as criminal profiling or criminal investigative analysis, this isn't about crystal balls or psychic abilities, as Hollywood might suggest. Instead, it's a rigorous, multidisciplinary field dedicated to understanding the why and how behind criminal acts. At its core, behavioral analysis leverages deep insights into offenders' behaviors, their motivations, and the underlying stories that emerge from their actions. Its purpose is clear: to assist law enforcement in identifying perpetrators, to predict potential future offenses, and ultimately to prevent violence. You see, criminal acts, by their very nature, are inherently storyable. They demand an explanation, a narrative to process them. And in some contexts, these narratives can even initiate or sustain criminal behavior within specific cultural or life environments. So, how does one begin to decipher these complex criminal stories? The primary goal is quite practical: to decode criminal behavior patterns to aid investigations. This means narrowing down suspect pools, providing crucial psychological and motivational insights into offenders, and developing effective interview and investigative strategies that truly work. The journey of understanding criminal behavior often begins with foundational theories. One of the earliest and most well-known classifications, developed by the FBI, is the organized versus disorganized dichotomy. This framework categorizes crimes and criminals based on factors like the level of planning involved, the evidence left at the scene, and certain traits of the offender themselves. Think of it as an early attempt to sort and make sense of complex human actions. Another crucial principle is behavioral consistency. This theory suggests that individuals tend to exhibit consistent behaviors across different situations. What this means for behavioral analysis is that by carefully examining the actions an offender takes at a crime scene, we can begin to uncover patterns that reveal aspects of their personality and likely behaviors in other areas of their lives. It's like finding a signature in a series of events. And then there's the ABC model of behavior, which focuses on the antecedent, the behavior itself, and the consequence. While analysts directly observe the behavior, a lot of their work involves theorizing about the antecedents, what led up to the behavior, and the consequences, what resulted from it, often from the perspective of the offender. It's about reconstructing the entire sequence of events. The field of behavioral analysis as we know it today has deep roots, largely thanks to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI. Their behavioral science unit, BSU, established in 1972, truly pioneered many of the techniques used. Over the years, this evolved into specialized behavioral analysis units, BAUs, each focusing on different crime types. The National Center for the Analysis of Violent Crime and the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, VCAP database, both established in 1985, further solidified the FBI's role, providing platforms to share and analyze vast amounts of criminal data. More recently, the Behavioral Threat Assessment Center, BTAC, formed in 2010, has become a critical player in preventing terrorism and targeted violence.
Many individuals paved the way. You might have heard of Dr. James Russell, famous for profiling the Mad Bomber in the 1950s. Early FBI agents like Howard Tetton and Patrick Mullany laid significant groundwork. Later agents like Johnny Douglas and Robert Ressler, working alongside forensic nurse Ann Burgess, became instrumental. They conducted extensive interviews with serial murderers, which led directly to the development of that organized-disorganized dichotomy we just discussed. More contemporary figures like Dr. David Cantor, who founded investigative psychology, and Dr. Richard Casas, known for crime action profiling, continue to advance the field with rigorous academic research, often building upon insights from institutions like American Military University and John Jay College. So, what are the key methodologies used in this fascinating work? Firstly, there's crime scene analysis. This involves meticulously examining physical and behavioral evidence left behind by offenders. It's not just about fingerprints. It's about how the crime was committed, the weapon used, the victim interaction. Every detail tells a part of the story. Then we have psychological profiling, which is about constructing a detailed picture of potential suspects. This integrates psychology, sociology, and forensic science to build a profile based on observed behavioral patterns. Crucially, interviews with offenders provide direct insights. There's no substitute for hearing firsthand accounts, though carefully filtered, from incarcerated individuals about their experiences and motivations. Finally, in our modern age, data analytics and behavioral mapping are increasingly important. This uses large datasets to link crime scene actions to offender characteristics, creating predictive models that can help anticipate future behaviors. A specialized area, threat assessments, analyzes an individual's thinking and behavior to determine the likelihood of them progressing towards targeted violence, a vital proactive measure. This field remains incredibly relevant and continues to trend, and for good reason. There's an enduring societal need to understand and, more importantly, prevent crime. The storyable nature of criminal acts drives our ongoing efforts to explain them, to process them, and to learn from them. The continuous refinement of investigative techniques, such as those related to truth and lie detection, highlights the active research and development within this domain. For instance, recent studies focusing on verbal cues associated with truth detection underscore our ongoing pursuit of more accurate methods for assessing veracity, a critical skill in offender interviews. The ongoing operation of specialized units like the FBI's BAUs and BTAC further emphasizes how behavioral analysis is constantly evolving to address contemporary criminal and security challenges. However, it's important to approach this topic with a balanced perspective. Despite its utility, behavioral analysis faces significant scrutiny and controversy. One of the biggest debates revolves around its scientific validity and accuracy. Is criminal profiling a robust science? Empirical research has yielded mixed results. Some studies show only marginal accuracy differences between experienced profilers and other groups, and contributions to case resolution are often estimated at a small percentage. For example, Richard Cassis suggested around 2.7%. This contrasts sharply with the often exaggerated public perception. Another significant challenge is the lack of a universal definition and methodology. There isn't one standardized way to do behavioral profiling, leading to inconsistencies in practice and ongoing debates between inductive, starting from evidence to theory, versus deductive, starting from theory to analyze evidence approaches. This inconsistency makes it incredibly difficult to consistently measure success or compare findings.
Questions also persist regarding the necessary training and expertise for practitioners. Should it be primarily empirical, based on data and research, or more experience-based, relying on years in the field? This debate raises concerns about unqualified individuals practicing in such a sensitive area. This directly impacts the admissibility of profiles in court. Without consistent methodologies, it's often challenging to demonstrate the probative value of criminal profiles without also running the risk of prejudicial effect. And, of course, we can't ignore the significant gap between public perception and reality. Popular media, from TV shows to movies, often portrays profilers with exaggerated, almost psychic abilities. While compelling entertainment, this creates unrealistic expectations about the actual limitations and painstaking work involved in the practice. Finally, within narrative criminology, there are ethical concerns about appealing to empathy for offenders or potentially exploiting their stories, raising broader questions about voyeurism and the responsible use of these narratives in research. So, where does behavioral analysis go from here? The future of this field will undoubtedly be shaped by continued efforts to address these controversies and enhance its scientific rigor. This includes a persistent drive towards standardizing methodologies and definitions. By doing so, we can improve accuracy and facilitate greater acceptance in legal contexts. Ongoing research into psychological principles and statistical analysis, as exemplified by pioneers like Cantor and Cassis, suggests a continued push for evidence-based approaches to profiling. Furthermore, the field will likely focus intensely on refining training and expertise standards for practitioners, ensuring that those who practice are truly qualified. Ethical considerations in collecting and utilizing criminal narratives will remain a critical area of development, with an emphasis on responsible research practices that respect the gravity of the subject matter. Continued exploration into specific areas like deception detection, as highlighted by recent research on verbal cues, indicates an ongoing commitment to improving our investigative tools and deepening our insights into human behavior within criminal contexts. Finally, the role of behavioral analysis in specialized areas such as threat assessment and violence prevention, spearheaded by units like the BTAC, suggests an expanding and increasingly proactive application in keeping our communities safe. Behavioral analysis is a dynamic field that grapples with some of the most challenging aspects of human behavior. It's not about magic, it's about meticulous observation, thoughtful analysis, and an unwavering commitment to understanding the intricate stories behind criminal acts.
By striving for greater scientific rigor and ethical responsibility, we can ensure that this vital discipline continues to evolve, helping us to not only solve crimes, but more importantly, to prevent them, fostering safer and more understanding communities for us all.